It is time to stop beating around the rooibos bush by Yolande Besaidnout and Christian Woodendaal. Aspalathus linearis is rooibos' scientific name. This species is known to be part of 200 different species found within the same genus and only grows in South Africa on the slopes of the Cederberg mountain and surrounding regions. There are 4 different growth forms identified as ecotypes, each ecotype being a different organism inhabiting a different area. One can see these on the map over here. The forms vary from being erect, which is tree-like in shape, prostrate, which is spread out flat on the ground, and even shrub-like, which have been identified on the Bokkerveld Plateau. But the wild rooibos biotypes are threatened by cultivation, and this could lead to the decrease in the amounts of ecotypes present in the wild, as gene flow between them ceases and on a larger scale affects biodiversity of the surrounding plant communities.
When it comes to rooibos, I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear that this plant has a dark history, especially in terms of unfair exploitation. Firstly, it is thought that the Khoikhoi and San people are the true pioneers of rooibos, but unfortunately they did not receive recognition in terms of intellectual property. This led to the unfair exploitation of rooibos by large companies mainly based in France and America, at the cost of small farmers and sand people, as they were out-resourced and were confined to cultivate on land thought of as poor quality. Not only were these smallholders subject to a cultivative disadvantage, they had to avoid unfair legal costs up to $1,000 that arose due to trademark controversy, as someone, in specific Ms. Annick Thron, had trademarked the word rooibos. These facts bring emphasis on the unfair exploitation, as some people had not received any benefits only up until November 2019. Some recent statistics have also shed light on this subject, as smallholders, which consist mainly of coloured farmers, make up only 2% of all rooibos production. And a last fact, till today, the uses we derive from rooibos are still not seen as the San's intellectual property, due to a lack of evidence, which was opinionated as unfair because the San people made use of a more verbal culture. On the latter subject, who would have thought that you may get worried when the production of rooibos comes to mind? Firstly, rooibos processing involves days of being exposed to the sun, which allows for oxidation. Secondly, it is thought that the rooibos is a plant that requires a high microbial load. The past procedures of producing rooibos tea involve little to no hygienic or sterilization steps, but luckily modern day processing is more advanced and involves state-of-the-art technology to function in screaming and steaming of the rooibos. Unfortunately, till today, some modern day farmers make use of ill practice in hygiene, as the Salmonella bacteria has been identified on some farms. This begs the question as to why still little research has been done on the correlation between these harmful microbes and rooibos, and addresses the urgent need on the regulation of rooibos processing.
And finally, the trademark controversy. Firstly, in 1772, the botanist Carl Thunberg from Europe observed the way indigenous people found the rooibos on the Cederberg mountains. His interest then sparked the drinking of the tea by the Cape Dutch settlers of that time, as it was a much cheaper alternative to imported black tea. Benjamin Jensing, a Russian immigrant, joined forces with his father and started marketing the tea as a mountain tea in 1904. Presumably a herbal alternative to the tea, and evidently traded with the Khoi and the San people for this tea. Exploitation of this tea increased its popularity, becoming the country's unofficial national drink. Dr. Lefrance Nortier researched the agricultural potential of rooibos and discovered how the seeds can be germinated, developing cultural methods and increasing the production along the Cederberg mountains. In 1968, Dr. Annick Thron shed a light on the rooibos tea, and Mrs. Thron then filed a trademark application on the term rooibos through the United States Patent and Trademark Office in 1993. It was registered in 1994, but shortly after her retirement in 2001, she sold the trademark of rooibos for $10 to Berg International, owned by Mrs. Virginia Berg Wilkins. Many other legal battles started blooming in 2002, the first of these being between Rooibos Limited and Berg International, where Berg International had taken ownership of this name. After this, there had been many legal actions taking place where companies abroad had tried to trademark the name, but luckily after being awarded the geographic indicator status such as champagne and Colombian coffee, South Africa took ownership of the name rooibos, and it is only applicable to products originating from South Africa.